Western civilization. So where does the whole kind of colonial history of Australia and Australia's relationship with Indigenous Australians when Arthur Phillip arrived, how does that sit into the broader picture of Western civilization in your view?
Well, obviously the British brought Western civilization to this country. It was never in the government's interest to bring anything else. They were fully behind their system. They'd taken, it was centuries of development and centuries of failures and centuries of successes to develop what they brought with them. And I think it still is, and it was the best system in the world, and it explains why we've had such a successful country so far with no civil war.
So I mean, the question that always occurs to me is, yes, there were problems along the way, and you mentioned the massacre and so on, but had any other colonial empire, be it the Muslim colonial empires, the Ottomans, be it Portuguese, Belgians, they're a pretty bloody lot, sorry Matthias, but they were, had they come to Australia, what would have been the outcome, do you think?
Well, it would have been a very different outcome. I can't speculate, but I mean, you can judge by looking at how other
well, you look at other colonies. And where is a colony been as successful as Australia in integrating its Indigenous community?
Let us recall that the suburb of La Perouse is named after the French explorer who effectively passed in the opposite direction.
Missed it by that much.
Missed the nailing of the flag into the ground. And certainly if we look at the story of the French colonial experience as against the British.
Well, Donald Trump termed a unique phrase to describe many of the colonial outposts that were from the French and the Portuguese.
Oh, yes, he did.
Yes, he did, and other European colonialists. But it's a fascinating thing. But that gift of Western civilization, what are the key elements of it? So,
rule of law.
Yes.
I'd say is one of the major things, and I actually made a short film on how the rule of law was such a powerful idea for the English that 6 months after the First Fleet landed, a convict was able to sue for his lost luggage, and he won. This is before any buildings. This is before anything. This is, and you know, he had recourse to the law.
And Philip, correct me if I'm wrong, but Philip was very keen to have good relationships with Indigenous Australians.
Yes,
was the case?
Absolutely. Yeah. He was very interested in Indigenous Australians the entire time that he was here. And there was never a sort of a government policy to kill and exterminate Indigenous people.